Popper here at Bangor. I'm joined by MDI football head coach Mark Shields. And coach, unfortunately, there comes a time when the season has to end. And last year was magical because the season ended with the gold ball, but this year just a little bit short. And we fell to Lake Region last Friday night into Saturday morning by the time everybody got home. If you would kind of talk to us a little bit about the game last Friday and then a little bit about the season. And I know you need to thank your wife, even though she sabotaged us all year long. But let's first talk about last Friday.
Right. So, you think about a sports season, and I've gone through many, you've gone through many. Most of them are going to end with a loss, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had one in 28 seasons where it ended in a win when we won a state championship. So, yeah, most seasons are going to end with that disappointing loss. And, we were disappointed, definitely walking off the field against Lake Region. We knew that it was going to be a difficult task for us to beat them down there, and it is a long trip, and they're a good football team. Um, and things just didn't go our way. I really felt like we had a good game plan going in. Credit to Lake Region. They did a nice job trying to stop what we were, their defense was lights out all night long. So, we just weren't able to get the ball in the end zone. We had some special teams mistakes. Defensively, we did give up one big run. So it just wasn't going to be our night, and it was one of those nights that, it was 8-0 going into halftime. I think it was 8-0, maybe halfway through the third. And then once they scored on one of our mistakes, once they got two scores, then they had all the momentum. We were feeling down, kind of back on our heels, and it just wasn't going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of typified our season. It just felt like we were always working from behind this season. We came right out the first game of the year against Gray New Gloucester, and we were full strength, and we had a great game. And I thought walking off the field, okay, this team, I think we can do something this year for sure. And then week 2 against Orono is kind of all fell apart. We had some major injuries that night and lost some kids, and we got beat up on the scoreboard. I think we probably lost some confidence as a team. And then we sort of limped through the regular season. We were constantly trying to figure out who was going to be playing each week. Sorry, and dealing with injuries. Dan Vibert, our trainer, did a fabulous job, getting kids back on the field as quickly as possible in a safe manner. And I know the kids are frustrated too that we're injured. They were frustrated. So, but at the end of the day, you look at it, and your ultimate goal every season is to try to get yourself in the playoffs, and we did that. We went 4-4 in the regular season, and at times I thought we looked like a really good football team. Other times not so much, but at the end of the day, we did get in the playoffs, and we had an opportunity to win a game and get to a regional championship. So that was pretty good considering what we had been through. So I wasn't disappointed at all as far as, the effort that we put out. The kids worked hard right from day one, and I was really proud of that. And they should be proud of their season. I know we were all disappointed walking off the field last Friday night, but hopefully they'll be able to look back, in future years and feel like they really did have a successful season. And there were some great memories made, which is really important as well. So, disappointed we lost Friday night, but still proud of the season that we had.
I wish we got paid by the mile, because I don't. There was maybe Valley, but I mean there weren't many teams in the Maine Principals Association across all classes that traveled as much as the MDI Trojans did this year.
Yeah, I mean, we went to Yarmouth, we went to Greeley. Orono was our closest trip, and that's still over an hour. And then Lake Region, that's a tough one, 3 years in a row.
That was a day and a half. I mean, we got back the next day. I mean, that's just it's kind of crazy the way that worked out.
Yeah, we rolled in here at MDI 2 a.m.
Ugh.
I think my head hit the pillow about 2:30 that morning, and yeah, it was a long ride.
Yeah, I mean, no, and I think there was one game that we traveled longer than the game one way, longer than the game took, and it's just I guess that's the way it is with 8-man football. It'll be interesting to see next year, who moves up, who moves down from 8-man to 11-man, but I think 8-man is definitely the future for MDI.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. We talked about that in recent shows, and you know, this season we started with 30 kids, I think, and at one point we're up to 33. But most nights we suited up mid 20s, high 20s, and to really be successful in 11 man, you have to be right around 40 kids. I've done it with high 30s before, but it's tougher. Um, and we just didn't have that. And 8 man for us, definitely, it's allowed us to have a feeder program. We have 3 teams playing in the feeder program. It allowed us to have a full JV schedule this year, and then got us through another varsity schedule and got us into the playoffs.
Well, and I think the other thing too is you look at it, and the one thing that everybody has to remember is that okay, you have uh, low 30s, but 10 to 12 of those kids are ninth graders, and and there is such for 95% of those kids, there's such a big, huge difference between a 12th grader and a ninth grader, size wise. It's just, and those kids were able to play safely and get some tremendous experience, but it's brutal. I mean, you can't really, for the most part. Kenneth Stillwell this year, Lincoln Gray last year. I mean, you very rarely will you get a freshman to play meaningful time on a varsity football team.
Yeah, right. And I mean, you look at the varsity team we had this year, maybe, like you said, 10 to 12 kids were playing varsity, and then the rest were basically JV.
Right.
So you think about trying to play 11-man schedule with that many kids. So yeah, 8-man football has saved MDI, and I'll say it today, I'll say it time and time again. It's football. You
Right.
watch an 8-man football game, it's football. I coach my positions exactly the same as I did when I coached 11-man football. Scheming might be slightly different, but overall it's the same. And I mean, once you start watching a game, you forget about there's only 8 guys instead of 11 out there.
Right. No doubt. Um, you get a lot of people to thank. I hope you made a list.
I did, and I'm sure I'll forget somebody, and then somebody will be offended, Chris. So the first one is Mr. Dow, Bunky Dow, our athletic director. The one thing I've always said about Bunky since I've been head coach is he never says no. And if he knows that you need something, you're going to get it. And he bleeds green and white, has for many, many years. So I can't thank him enough for his support. Jack Merrill, our stat guy. Jack he doesn't get paid to do this. Travels with the team, to Lake Region last Friday night. Um, and he compiles my stats every week, and then he brings them to the school most weeks for me. Sometimes I'll meet him somewhere, but he just does that out of the goodness of his heart. He didn't have to do it,
Right.
and I think he enjoys being around the kids and football. Sherry Olson, Sherry's one of our moms, Nate Olson's mom. She did yoga, I think maybe like 5 times this year. Anytime we're on the road, we have yoga night the night before the road trip. So thanks, Charity, for that. And then Walter Churchill, of course, the legend, been doing it for a very, very long time, does a phenomenal job. I didn't think he was coming down to Lake Region, and sure enough, there
He
he
came
is.
with me. He was in my car. I mean, we
Yeah,
traveled. Jack and I and Walter traveled together, and yeah, I mean, he just, look, and you're right, he is a legend because a lot of the officials came over to him this year and asked how he was feeling after he got racked so hard a year ago in that state finals, and when yeah, it was just really, really hurt.
yeah, yep. So, I mean, and he does it not just for MDI football; he does it for all the sports. So it's
Right.
just amazing. Of course, Chris Popper, that guy, still wondering when he sleeps. This guy travels to all of these games for multiple sports for MDI. You wake up in the morning and go on WDEA, and I'm looking for the post, and there it is. I'm like, did this guy sleep last night? What did he do? I went home and went to bed, but he did.
Yeah.
So I just can't thank you enough for that, Chris. You are the voice of MDI athletics and have been for a very long time. And I mean, we're just so fortunate to have you and everything you've done for us. So
Thank you.
can't thank you enough. Um, the Jeffers family. So the Jeffers family, Aiden Jeffers graduated last year. He played football for us. Uh, and his parents own Testa's restaurant in Bar Harbor. And this is the third straight year they've invited us down. It's like I keep saying, it's probably the best meal I've had this year, and it has been for the last 3 years. Multiple appetizers, entrees, any drink that the kids want. It's just phenomenal, and I really can't thank them. And it's busy. We went down there. I don't know if it was a 3-day weekend, and we went down, and it was that Thursday before it, and they were jam packed, and and they put us upstairs, and we're taking up half the upstairs part of
Right.
the restaurant. So can't thank them enough. The dinners, we had four families help with dinners this year. The Gray family, the Hodgson family, the Downey family, and the Grassa family actually had the kids over to their house. They're really brave. Um, so that was awesome. So we do yoga on the weeks that we're going to be on the road, and then our home games we always have team dinners, and those families stepped up and they hosted the dinners. Um, or paid. They actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Hosted and ended
And
up
provided the food. Yeah.
provided. Thank you. The meals, and we had other families step up and also donate a bunch of food. The no bake cookies are obviously the go-to for us, for many people. And a teacher here, John DeCordy, those are his go-to. He usually finds out we have a team dinner, and then he'll sneak down and start eating the no bake cookies.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Right. I mean, how long has the Decordes been not, John, you don't have a kid there anymore, but he's still smooching the food.
So right. So the families in general, I know it's a huge commitment to support a football player. There's a lot of time involved. There's the emotional aspect of it, the physical aspect of it. So, I know that takes a lot of time and effort from the families and supporting their child and then traveling to all the games. As we know, there's a lot of long road trips. And so the families have been phenomenal. Anything I asked for this season, I got from the families. So thanks so much to them. And then my coaches, Mark Arnold, Chris James, Elias Byrne, Will Mossing, and Wayne Gray. Those guys have been just amazing. The time that they spend away from their own families, coaching. I mean, I know how much time it takes because I do it myself. But I've always said the head coach usually gets too much credit or too much blame, and I've been getting way too much credit for many years because my assistants have done such a phenomenal job. So thanks to them, and then the players, of course. I think August 19th was our first day out there, 6 a.m. And those guys were working hard that day, and they worked hard all the way through October and almost into November. So they should be proud of what they accomplished this season. They got themselves into the playoffs. Our JV team, I think they only lost one game. Those guys did a great job. So I'm really happy for our kids. And then lastly,
hold on before you thank your wife. I think you got to Wendy Littlefield, and the sports boosters, because they got that snack shack running, and that's such a big important part for the fan experience, and the band too as well. They did such
and
a
the
great job.
cheerleaders. Yep.
Yes,
Yes, the
yes,
cheerleaders. They were right there with us traveling down the lake region,
right.
and supporting our guys. And yeah, the boosters, it's awesome to see. It seems like that is back now for us, our athletic program. And I've been hearing awesome things about our snack shack this season. So yeah, absolutely. And Wendy Littlefield, I always ask, she's a good friend of mine. And I always ask her, what exactly is your job title here? Because it seems like everything. So if we need something, we go to Wendy Littlefield, and she
Yes,
figures it out for us. So
pretty
absolutely.
much. Pretty
Yes.
much.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
And now,
and Holly, yeah, so Holly Shields, who is probably getting ready to get on an airplane right now to head to Florida, Chris,
Holly,
to get away from her husband. And
thank God we're not going to the regional final. She wouldn't even be there this
oh
weekend.
yeah, no, she can't be bothered. So yeah, so once again, thank Holly for putting up with a crazy football husband. She she sees the good and the bad from me throughout a season, and fortunately, she's a great sounding board. I throw a lot of questions, her way, and she'll sit there and listen, and she'll try to give me the best advice that she can. And we've been doing this a long time. This is year 28 that we've been doing this together, and so I just can't appreciate everything she's done to support me.
All right, Coach. Listen, I've got to thank you. I mean, you are the only coach that does a coaches show that I know of on a regular basis throughout the state of Maine. And, we've done this for a long time together. You've allowed us a look inside the huddle per se, and to be able to share with the MDI fans. And I thank you very much, because we eat into your prep period, which, God knows you really should be prepping for your classes. But, thank you so much. And look forward to, doing it again next year, God willing. So,
Yep.
all right,
My
Coach.
pleasure, Chris. My pleasure.
Thanks so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the basketball court, I'm sure.
Go Trojans.
There you go.